NJ Duke is saying the caller needs basic history, not this caller, the previous one, the one I kicked out. Basic history lessons on Second World War and USSR invasion. Only Sunnis and Tunnis could be that naive. Exactly. He just said, "Oh, America just goes after his interests." Yes, as any good country would, but it also goes for democracy as well, for protecting democracy as well, if it's aligned. And there's nothing wrong with that. America has never invaded a democratically elected government, never waged a war on democracy. That would always remain a fact. Two democracies never fight. Sajjad Hussain is saying, "Hi guys, do you think Putin will use nukes if he becomes desperate, or is he just all mouth scaremongering?" It seems like he now is just scaremongering. Sorry, it's just saber rattling, because him this early in the war willing to negotiate shows that he's lost his marbles, basically. So it shows that he's like, "Oh, okay, maybe a bit more than I could chew." So maybe he's not that senile, because again, you got to remember, he would know. I don't know, some US general I was listening to, he was saying that he has increased his personal security, so he's not taking in visitors. And all dictators are always paranoid. They're always worried about physical attack on them, like Julius Caesar being the most infamous one. And it can happen. And look, Hitler was attacked, Operation Valkyrie, and then obviously it was unsuccessful. And then, had they succeeded, even though it happened in 1944, just 1 year before Hitler's eventual defeat and death, had it happened in 1944, a lot of people would have survived. If there was a regime or Hitler leadership change in Nazi in Nazi Germany, it would have been much better. They would have the new person would have. I think Himmler, if Himmler had succeeded, he would have immediately called for ceasefire. Would have apologized. Would have said, "Okay, let's end war with whatever," and then there would have been sanctions or whatever. So, but that didn't happen. There was a mad dictator. So these dictators know that there can always be a rebellion from within their ranks, and they fear that. They know that this is not a popular war. This didn't turn out to be a popular war. Kudos to Russians, and by the looks of it, looks like Russian soldiers are not happy either. So he would just use that as a bargaining chip. But I don't think. But the moment he presses the button, it's all over for everyone, because rest assured, we'll all go, but so would he.
Yeah, it's mad. It's literally mutually assured destruction for his own people as well. So,
and those Russians would know that. They would know that they have been taken over by this mad dictator who, for his own ego, for his own whatever goes through his head, if he is going to bring a doom to all of us, then now I imagine the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now I imagine how people would have felt.
Yeah,
this looming threat of global nuclear war. But
but it just shows you how clearly, how stably you have to navigate a situation like this when there is so much at risk.
Yeah. But there are some good signs as well. Apparently, I was looking at some new calculation projections as well. Global nuclear war may not be as bad. It would be bad, but I'm saying some humans will still survive. Some.
Yeah. Okay. but even it's good that the approach, like
we might survive down in Australia. We might survive, but China might
and your molehills or down in the outback if you dig now.
I'm a doomsday prepper, so
you'll be all right then. God, how many cans of bean do you have stacked in your house?
I've been building my stockpile of canned food. So Nuria, you can come if you want. You can just one seat available. All right. I know actually as my next project, I actually want to do this. I want to just as a side challenge, like just dig it up like 10 meters down, 15 meters down, pour concrete, make concrete walls. I'm not going to put up.
Do you want like a bunker, like where Hitler was?
Well, no. Well, obviously, I wouldn't have that many resources. But but just 10, 15 meters down, a big backyard. We have big backyards, unlike you guys in England. So we have lots of land. It takes you an hour to go from, in an hour you can go from one city to another city in England. But in an hour, we're just barely out of our driveway.
Yeah, landmass is crazy.
Anyway, okay, all right. Let's just.
You would love Louis Theroux's documentary on the Doomsday Preppers, because they do everything you're saying. They've got their underground things. They've got their stashes of canned food. They're properly prepared.
One little key difference to note here is the American ones. They have stockpile of weapons as well. They love it because Americans love
Oh, they
big
do.
guns.
Yes. Yeah.
But in Australia, we're not allowed. So our poor Aussie doomsday preppers, they've got knives and
Or
bow and arrow. They're like,
slingshots.
yeah, they got spears.
Yeah.
Because they say that, okay, you know, which is true. You know what? We won't be laughing then if that happens. And we know, even in this pandemic, we realize how selfish people can become, and there can be riots and the food shortage. Straight away, we would know what a fragile world we live in. You know, right now I get hungry. I'm like, oh yeah, after this stream, I'll just go and eat something. Hang on, there's nothing in the cabinets. There's nothing
Click
in
of
the
a
storage.
button. Yeah.
Yeah, so all of a sudden that would be gone, and we can see that in Ukraine. You know, like it's so sad to see.
But also,
Anyway,
I
all
just
right.
want to make a real quick point as well, that I think obviously, as you were talking about progression and stuff earlier, like as a species, like we have come, I think, so far from the concept of war. Like I was having a conversation with my sibling, who's quite a lot younger than me, and this is literally the first time she's ever experienced like a war in real time like this that's playing out in her lifetime. And I just asked her views on it, or like how are you in terms of like dealing with like what's your view on war? And this is something that they can't, like, one casualty to these people is like already too many, you know, like some of us from in the older generations were a bit more sensitized and like in the aftermath and the war on terror and stuff. But generally, humanity has gotten to a point now where we're so naturally averse to war and conflict. And especially if you throw in the concept, the possibility of nukes in there, where anybody in their right mind knows that that is mad for the entire world. So I really like the fact that, I mean, especially the UK and America, and the stance that the West has taken, where they categorically say we will not put any of our troops directly in, is again, it's very much needed to just show that this is not something which, you know, we're ready to kind of play toys with. We're not here to like have this game because we all know how it would end up. So that's why in a situation like this, similar to how the Cuban Missile Crisis was, the way you navigate it and the way this diplomacy unravels is so damn important moving
There was
forward.
a guy, I forgot the name of this guy in during Cuban Missile Crisis. So I forgot the name of the technical term. So United States Navy used to throw out these fake kind of signals. It just, I don't know what the purpose was. I just vaguely remember it. But anyway, the whole point was there was the submarine off the coast of Florida. They thought they lost contact with Kremlin, and they thought that, oh, hang on. So the whoever's the top tier leader in the submarine, the captain or whatever, he said, yes, okay, we've lost. Maybe there's a nuclear war has already taken place. Let's just launch our nukes on the United States. The second in command also agreed, but their policy was 3 have to agree if you lost contact with Kremlin. And the third one said, no, we're not going to take this upon ourselves unless we hear that from Kremlin. But they're like, but hang on, this was their reasoning. Well, Kremlin is probably gone. United States has already done it. So we have to do it. But then he didn't do it. And that guy, they say he saved the world from a nuclear war.
Wow, we all owe him.
It was just this close. So anyway, to wrap this up, I said, I don't think Putin will. I genuinely believe someone in Russia would stand up to him and they would say, screw you, we're not blowing up everything that we have. Right now, they're just seeing, obviously, he's a strong man. He rules with iron fist. Not necessarily he himself is strong, but yeah, I think that little men usually have this complex, basically, that they want to be strong. So anyway, I don't think, even if he wanted to, I don't think he's gone that crazy yet, but that shows that he's headed towards that craziness. So I think he needs to go. The sooner he goes, the better it is.
If you like these videos and want to support me in my activism, then you can support me on Patreon or PayPal. Stay free, everyone.